We talked about the unit circle in class. Now we're going to look at how to go from radians to degrees and degrees to radians. So if I start with degrees to radians, let's start with one I know. Let's say I want 90 degrees, and I know 90 degrees is equal to pi over 2. So I want to see what I can multiply 90 degrees by to get pi over 2. Well, the first thing I want to realize is there's a pi here. So I need to get a pi on the top already. So I need to make sure there's just a pi there. Now I know, when we talked about before, I can put a 1 in front of it, so I know it's 1 over 2. So my question is, what over 90 over what here would be 1/2? And I know that 90 over 180 would be a half. So then I would get 90 pi over 180. And if I simplify 90 over 180, that's going to give me pi over 2. And so this right here is going to be my formula. So just to formalize that for a second, this is how we're going to start it. To go from degrees to radians, I'm going to multiply the degree by pi over 180. So if I start here, 35 degrees to radians. I'm going to start with 35 degrees. I'm going to just write the formula down, times pi over 180. A lot of students like to put a 1 here, just so they're used to something with a numerator and a denominator. That's completely up to you. You can go right by it. So I'm just in the top, 35 times pi, 1 times 80 on the bottom. Now to be finished, all I have to do is simplify this part of the fraction. Pi is going to be my answer, so I can kind of ignore that for now, but I want to simplify that. So you could look at that real quick and say, okay, Mr. Hyde, I know they both have a 5 in it, so I could divide by 5, and that's fine. For those of you who are like just rough with fractions, this is a great app. It's just called Fraction Plus or Fraction Pro. So Fraction Calculator Plus is great. Mine's the paid version. Yours doesn't have to be. So if you just put 35 on top, 180 on bottom, press enter, you'll see 7 over 36. So that's a good app to have on your phone. There's a free version with some ads. So here I would get 7 pi over 36 and let the calculator kind of do its work. So all you have to do is take the degrees, multiply by times 1 over 80, and then simplify that fraction. So my suggestion to you is pause the video and then try this example, and then watch the video and see if you get it right. So to do this video, we just take 120. We use the formula times pi over 180. We just say 120 over pi over 180. We want to simplify this portion of the fraction. And then from there, we're just going to sit there. You can divide by 60, but again, you could divide by 10, and then 2, and then 3. So you can simplify it. It doesn't have to be all in one step. So from there, you're going to get your answer to be 2 pi over 3, and then you're just finished. That's going to be your final answer. Now, to go from radians to degrees, it's going to be very similar. Let's use the same one. Let's say pi over 2. I know that's equal to 90 degrees. So I want to take this radians and convert it to this degrees. Now, the first thing we should notice is that this has no pi. All right, there's no pi there at all. So since there's no pi, the first thing I'm going to do to radians is get rid of that pi. Now, usually, I would say 90% of the time when you see radians, there's going to be a pi there. Once in a while, you won't see a pi. So sometimes you would use, 3.14. It's better to use the pi button on a calculator. But if you don't have that, you can do 3.14 just to kind of get it close. So what I want to kind of do here is cancel those out. And then what's going to happen is, as soon as those cancel out, I have this blank, and blank divided by 2 is 90. So I know pi over 2 is 90, so since I know what divided by 2, I know the answer is going to be 180. So what that leads me is says, okay, so this is going to be my formula, 180 over pi. So to formalize that, to go from radians to degrees, I'm going to multiply pi 180 over pi. So this is missing a 90. I want to convert 37 pi over 90 to degrees. So the big part is that people, the one tough problem people have is, do I use pi over 180 or do I use 180 over pi? Those are my two formulas. Now I would say this, since we're trying to go to degrees, Remember, we want no pi, so I want to automatically use pi on the bottom, which means I'm going to use this 180 over pi. So that's what I want to make sure we're looking at as we're kind of doing this. I'm going to get rid of some of these things. There's no easy way. So now what happens is I can do the 180 over pi. My pi's will cancel out, and all I have to do now is multiply the top, divide by the bottom. So 37 times 180, enter in the calculator, divide by 90, enter, and I'll get 74 degrees. And then that's my final answer. So once again, I would say pause it, see if you can do this one. 157 pi over 40, and see if you can convert that to degrees. So to convert it, all we do here is multiply by pi over 180. So now we notice the pi's go away, and all I do now is multiply the 157 times 180, divide it by 40, and then that's going to give you my answer of 706.5. Now, this is degrees. Degrees can be in a whole number or a decimal use that we're going to do. There's also another way, but we're not going to worry about that for now. Radians, on the other hand, we either want it to be a proper fraction, which is like 8 pi over 9, or we want it as an improper fraction, which is going to be like 3 pi over 2. We don't want 1 and 1/2 pi. So the proper way is to put it as a proper fraction or an improper. I guess it's kind of weird to say. The proper way to do it is as improper. Sorry. So we just don't want a mixed number. So if we come over here to this, if you use this app, and so what happens is like I want 3 over 2. Every now and then I say 1.5, but you'll see the 3 over 2 there. And if you're like, you can kind of come back and look at it. So it may mess you up every now and then to kind of see that part, but go back to what you used to do. And 2 times 1 is 1, plus 1 is 3, 3 over 2. So give that a try, see how that would be when it comes to radians and degrees to radians.